Trevor Story should not be batting third in the Boston Red Sox lineup. What in the world is Alex Cora doing?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate, and also the current host of the Boston Balling podcast. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed for free. Yes, that's right. You did hear it correctly. It is free. So head to Locked On Red Sox every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are all here for you with your team every day. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Red Sox, and it comes with a sense of there being a lot of things to be excited about with this Red Sox team moving forward, especially the pitching rotation, as we don't really know what their identity is yet fully, but they did provide a lot of promise so far in general. Andrew Bailey being here, I think, is going to work absolute wonders for this pitching staff, and down the road in the long term, his ability to identify and hone in on the strengths of each individual pitcher is something that I feel like is going to pay dividends later on. I don't think we're going to see the immediate effect of it right away, but generally, based on how the starters have looked so far in a general sense since starting the season, we're already starting to notice some things that are changing. Everybody looks more confident out there on the mound, and then you look at guys like Brayan Bello and Carter Crawford, who are trying to really solidify themselves as top-notch starting pitchers and are hoping to develop in that way. And something that Bailey's doing is really letting each starter pitch to their strengths. And that's something that I don't think we saw in the last regime here, where Dave Bush was the pitching coach. And it makes me happy seeing these pitchers improve and Andrew Bailey be out there working with them. I think that's absolutely going to be something that, even if this season the starting pitching rotation isn't up to what you hope it will be, eventually down the road, as Bailey works with these guys more, I think we're going to see a lot of really good things happening from these pitchers. So I'm excited for that. But one thing that intrigued me about the earlier games in the season that I'm really questioning still is why Trevor Story is batting third in the Red Sox lineup. That's something that's a little bit difficult for me to understand why. He batted in third in every game so far, besides one game, the Friday night game against the Mariners. He batted fourth. Duran, O'Neill, and Yoshida all hit before him. That was when Devers was out of the lineup. But the thing is, even with Devers back in the lineup on Sunday, he still hit in third. And again on Monday against the A's, he also batted third. And the hitter who bats third is so important. It's generally the best all-around hitter on the team, somebody who you can typically expect to hit for a high batting average, but not necessarily very fast. His primary job is to both reach base for the cleanup hitter after him and also help drive in other base runners himself. So when you look at the top four in the lineup, those are supposed to be your best hitters. And to me right now, Trevor Story has not even come close to showing that he's capable of hitting in that spot. He went 3 for 17 in the first 4 games against the Mariners without a single RBI. He did have a stolen base, and he hit to the tune of a 176 batting average in those games. I am excited to see what Trevor Story can do this upcoming season. I truly feel like he has a chance to have a bounce back year and show Red Sox fans that he's capable of being the guy that they signed originally, that they brought in and Red Sox fans got super excited about because they wanted the version of Trevor Story that we saw in Colorado. And I feel like he's determined to make that happen this year. He's fully healthy and he's ready to go. But until he's able to show that he can be effective at the plate, it doesn't make sense to bat him third. And what Alex Cora presumably is trying to do is get that confidence up immediately for him, show him, okay, we trust you to hit in the 3-hole. So mentally, he's hoping that it'll do something for him that triggers him to start to hit better and feel like he's stepping up and performing for his team. But if the Red Sox want to win games, you put the guys who are your best hitters and have been your best hitters earlier on in the order. And I understand that it can be tough early on in the season to make the lineup because you don't know where everybody is at talent-wise and how they're going to perform that upcoming season. But one thing that's safe is Rafael Devers. I mean, you know he's going to go out there and he's going to hit because he just is the best overall hitter on the team. So to me, I'm looking at it and saying, why would they have Trevor Story hit there when you can have Devers hit in third, most likely assuming that he can get on base and then set up the number 4 hitter who I would like to see be Casas moving forward for scoring? Because I definitely agree with Jarren Duran being the leadoff guy. He's fast. If he gets on base, he can try to steal second and get himself into scoring position quickly. And then you look down the rest of the lineup, and I'd even argue that Tyler O'Neill could be moved up in the order because he's shown a lot of capability at the plate since being here. Again, only a few game sample size, but he's making things happen when he's at the plate and finding ways to get on base and be productive, even if he's not hitting a home run every at-bat, because he has hit a couple home runs already. Even if it's not that, he's still doing other things to be productive offensively. So I would almost feel more confident moving him up in the order and moving Trevor Story down to at least 5 or 6, because those top 4 spots in the lineup are so important. And if you look at it, to me right now, Jarren Duran as the leadoff guy with O'Neill and then Rafi and then Casas as your top 4 hitters, that to me makes the most sense. And then you maybe put Trevor Story and Masataka Yoshida somewhere down there, and Rafaela, if he's in the lineup, he can switch up and be in one of those spots too, and you can kind of move those guys around. So to me, Trevor Story right now is in a spot in the lineup that he shouldn't be in because his numbers are not up yet. And if he's able to increase his productivity at the plate, then maybe they reevaluate later on and they move him back into that role. The number 4 hitter is just as important. The number 4 hitter needs to essentially try to score any base runners that they have on at that point. And that's why you put the guys you're most confident with at 1 through 4, because you want to be able to score runs early. And the problem with keeping Trevor Story at third is if he's batting there and isn't able to make things happen, it throws off the flow of the rest of the lineup. So say you go out there and you have Duran hit first, he gets a base hit, fantastic. Then you have Tyler O'Neill hit second, another base hit, great. Then you have 2 on and nobody out, and then Trevor Story goes up and strikes out in the 3-hole. Then it puts a lot more pressure on the next person to come through when they absolutely need to. And if that person were Devers, then it's like, okay, we really need you to come through here. And with Rafael Devers, that is his spot to me, because then he can keep the flow going for everybody else later on. And then if you put Tristan Casas after him, then you're saying, okay, we just have a string of guys who can come through and deliver. So to me, Trevor Story is not ready to be batting third yet. He has yet to come through in a big situation with runners on base. He has yet to display any kind of consistency at the plate, and maybe we need to give him some more time to ease into it and find himself again after only playing a couple months of the season last year. And I'm fine with giving him that grace period, but while he's in that grace period, why are we batting him so high up? That doesn't make sense to me. Let's try to move him down in the order so that he doesn't feel as much immediate pressure to contribute. And that way then when he is going through his pregame routine, he's not sitting there saying, wow, there's all this pressure on me to come through batting in the 3-hole. So I don't like that. That's a little bit of a puzzling thing to me that Alex Cora has done, because it really can flow off how the rest of the lineup does. Because yes, everybody is responsible for their own individual at-bats, but baseball really is also a chemistry-based sport, in that if one guy is hitting well, it seems like the rest of the lineup is able to file in and hit too. And that's been a pattern with the Red Sox the last couple of years too, is if somebody in the lineup is on, it seems like the whole lineup is on. And if somebody's off, everybody's off. So if the Red Sox don't want to mess up the flow, move Trevor Story to later in the lineup, at least until he can prove that he's able to get his numbers up to where the Red Sox need them to be. Coming up, another puzzling move for the Red Sox is keeping a pitcher on the active roster who probably shouldn't be right now. So I'm going to be diving into that next. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and even cooking videos. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. It really will be worth your while, and you seriously won't be disappointed, so you definitely should check it out. Are you sitting at home watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Sports Today will keep you updated on all things going on in sports, and you'll be so happy that you have it. So subscribe to it today. Joely Rodriguez is somebody who the Red Sox decided to bank on as the only lefty in the bullpen to start the season. And shortly before opening day, the Red Sox optioned Brennan Bernardino to AAA Worcester, which was a very surprising move to me because of how effective Bernardino was out of the pen last year. And if you think about a lot of the situations the Red Sox were in last year when they were in close, tight games and needed somebody to come in a bases loaded situation or where there was traffic on the bases in general, Bernardino could come in and get out of that situation a lot of the time. And he was one of probably 3 bullpen arms that I truly trusted last year to get out of those big situations. And Joely Rodriguez had too small of a sample size because he was injured for a lot of the season last year. So going into this season, I wanted to see if he's able to perform better. Maybe he's amped up and ready to go this year, and during the spring, maybe the Red Sox saw something in him that was proven to be effective, and they said he should be on the opening day roster. But it definitely puzzled me that he was the only lefty they wanted to go with. And as a result, it's already started to bite the Red Sox because Joely has struggled already in his short time pitching so far this year with the Boston Red Sox. 13.50 ERA. He's pitched in 3 games and took a loss. On Saturday night, when the Red Sox lost the game in extra innings to the Mariners, he came in the 10th inning with the ghost runner on second. I hate that they call it that, by the way, because there's literally a person there. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. So he came in with the ghost runner there and was not effective, just gave up a couple base hits. And the problem was that he was kind of all over the place. He did not have command at all. And granted, Wilyer Abreu did lose a ball that went to him in the outfield. He misplayed something, and as a result, one of the runs that the Mariners scored in that game was changed from an earned run to an unearned run because of the fact that the runners advanced when Abreu made that error, and they wouldn't have advanced to second and third had he not made that mistake. So first, Joely came in and gave up a base hit and it scored a run, and then the Red Sox were up 3-2. And then he gave up the next base hit and the runners got to second and third because of the misplay. But it would have been first and second with the Red Sox up a run. So that was an issue, and Abreu didn't help him there. But Rodriguez couldn't record the outs or be effective either. So this is totally on him, too, this whole situation. One thing that is interesting, though, is when they did change that run from earned to unearned, it lowered the Red Sox season ERA to 1.78, which actually leads the majors. It's Boston's lowest ERA through 4 games since 1990, when it was 1.00, and is the club's 5th lowest in the live ball era. So that's where I was talking about, again, this whole situation with Andrew Bailey. Is he going to be able to pay dividends later on for the Red Sox? Absolutely. I feel like from a pitching development standpoint, we're going to see guys be in a lot better position with him here than they were before. But Joely Rodriguez, it's not really working so well for him because after that misplay by Abreu in the outfield, then he gave up a ground ball, and the ball was thrown home, essentially, to try to get the force play there. But the Mariners player was able to slide in and score before the tag was placed on him. So then the game was tied, essentially. So basically, Joely gave up those 2 runs. One of them they did give as unearned, because if that ground ball was a ground ball with runners on first and second, they would have just thrown it to first. And yes, then the runners would have advanced to second and third, but it wouldn't have caused a run to score. So that was the whole issue, was the advancement of those runners. So then they pulled Rodriguez from the game and then brought in Justin Slayton, and he gave up a walk-off single. But I was sitting there when they brought in Rodriguez, and I said, wow, I really wish that they had Brennan Bernardino here in this situation. He's a much better option to be the lefty that comes out of the pen right now, because in a game like this, where the Red Sox are up a couple runs and they have a little bit of breathing room, but they need somebody to really nail it down, Bernardino would have been who I was much more confident with. And with Joely, am I willing to give him more time? Absolutely. He's definitely somebody who deserves a little bit more of a chance because of not being able to stay healthy last year and needing to ease back into playing baseball and being able to be effective. But my problem is more on the Red Sox and what made them decide to have him be the guy to bank on as a lefty in the bullpen. Now, Alex Cora didn't really have a choice but to bring him out there at the time that he did. It's a matchup thing, and when you only have one lefty available to choose from, you're naturally going to bring him in if you need the lefty matchup. And so there were people blaming Alex Cora for bringing him into the game. That's a little bit of a stretch, because it's not Alex Cora's fault that Bernardino is not on the roster right now. He should be on the roster. And I do think Rodriguez will be on a short leash, because the Red Sox know they have options, and they know that Bernardino is somebody who's looming in the rafters, waiting for his opportunity to come back up to the majors, and he'll definitely help with depth at the AAA level. But to me, the whole thing is, why did they not start with Bernardino on the roster? They should, at a minimum, should have him so that they have more than one left-handed arm coming out of the bullpen. But for 2, if they really only wanted 1, he should be in there instead of Joely Rodriguez. So that's the thing to me that I'm looking at here is Joely comes in and couldn't make the outs, couldn't finish the inning. and was unable to be effective and completely just blew that lead. So I'm hoping we don't have to see him for too much longer on this major league roster, but maybe he'll turn things around because, again, he's only made a couple outings and he does deserve a chance to be able to showcase what he can do, but it's not looking overly promising. He didn't impress a lot last year when he did pitch. Had a couple decent outings overall, but maybe Andrew Bailey can work with him too. That Saturday loss was just incredibly frustrating though, and it just led me to the question of where is Brennan Bernardino? He's somebody to me who is a better option that you could have in this bullpen and could be the guy you go to in a situation like that. So maybe we will see him called up sooner rather than later. It's just going to depend on how Joely does moving forward and if he's somebody the Red Sox still feel like they could rely on. But definitely a frustrating way for that game on Saturday to end. Joely's just been getting tossed around so far, and it's not looking very promising, but maybe he'll turn things around, and that's what the Red Sox could hope for. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about another player who has struggled so far this season for the Boston Red Sox. What does that mean for his future with the franchise? That's coming up next. If you love sports betting, or even if you are looking for a way to get into it but haven't found the right place yet, FanDuel is that right place for you. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel's making it even more exciting to get in on the action. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a big win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. My fiance can tell you firsthand how much you can win a lot of money on FanDuel. So if you go there today and you place a lot of different bets, I promise you, you definitely will win some money. Something else that would be a good experience for you would be subscribing to Locked On Sports Today. We've launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. It's great for Locked On as a network because nobody else has this. We are the first network to have a 24/7 streaming service. So head to Locked On Sports Today and stay caught up on everything going on in sports. Joely Rodriguez has been struggling a lot for the Boston Red Sox from a pitching standpoint, but there is a player on the position side who is trying to fight for a more consistent roster spot and hasn't really been making his case super effectively either, and that is Wilyer Abreu. With the Red Sox outfield situation, there are a lot of options that they have and guys they can place into positions. And the biggest thing right now is the fact that they are dealing with some injuries, like Rob Refsnyder is injured. He's usually used as a platoon guy, an outfielder, kind of fills in here and there when they have other players injured. So he's a non-option at this current moment. So then they have Tyler O'Neill, who's going to be a consistent person in the lineup. And then they have Jarren Duran, Masataka Yoshida, and Cedar Rafaela, and Wilyer Abreu. And with Yoshida primarily playing DH this year, which is fantastic for everybody involved because his defense was an absolute struggle last year, that does leave, primary spots open. And who does it become? Because O'Neill and Duran have been guys who the Red Sox seem to want to plan to have as mainstays. And then that other spot is up for grabs for Abreu or Rafaela right now. And then when Refsnyder comes back, one of them might get sent down to AAA. And if Abreu continues on the path that he's on right now, it might not be that fun for him. He's taken 7 at-bats this year with a 143 batting average and 0 home runs. He's really struggling to see the ball at the plate. He's struggling with his control. He's struggling to know what he should swing at. And the problem that I have too is that he also has been struggling defensively. I mean, he had that misplay in the outfield the other night. And it comes down to when he got called up in September last year, was that him overachieving because he was excited and amped up to get his opportunity in the majors, and he was putting up numbers that we shouldn't expect from him, because he did have a good month of baseball when he was a September call-up last year, and he showcased a lot of what he could do later in the season. Alex Verdugo had to be pulled from a game, and he was able to start and make his debut a little bit earlier than I think people anticipated. And he played well. I mean, he's had some good experiences in a Boston Red Sox uniform since being called up, but at the end of the season, I said, okay, this is only a month's worth of baseball. He hasn't taken that many at-bats yet. Let's just see how he does next season when he starts up again at the major league level. And then he did struggle during the spring, which was also tough to watch too, because he was somebody I was excited about going into this year, but he has not been able to make those distinguishes yet of what he should and shouldn't be swinging at. And Cedar Rafaela has been making more of an impact so far. His spring training was a lot better, and he's been getting better overall with his plate discipline. He is still chasing some things and trying to force pitches that aren't in the strike zone to be ones that he can try to make contact with. So that's something he's still working through, but he's improving in it. And I'm seeing an upward trajectory from him. I'm not seeing that upward trajectory as much from Wilyer Abreu. So the question for me now becomes, okay, well, if that's the case, what does he need to do in order to solidify a roster spot? Because you know what's going to happen is if he continues to play the way that he's playing and he's struggling, then as soon as Refsnyder's healthy, the Red Sox will send him down to AAA because they won't need him up in the majors at that point. And when would he get an opportunity to come up, especially if somebody like Rafaela is still performing to the level that the Red Sox are anticipating? And also keep in mind with Abreu that he does have a slight disadvantage to Rafaela because of the fact that Rafaela can play both in the infield and the outfield, and he's displayed that before and shown that he's capable of playing both. So if the Red Sox are looking for somebody who's more of a dual threat and has more to offer, right now that guy is Rafaela. They're gonna let Duran play most likely because of the season he had last year. He's really fast and he knows how to contribute in the Red Sox order. So they're gonna want to keep him around. And O'Neill has been having a good start so far, just really strong appearances at the plate and making things happen. So what would be the reasoning for Abreu replacing one of those two guys? He needs to work extra hard moving forward if he wants to maintain a roster spot on this Red Sox team right now, because he has not wowed me so far yet. And my problem is that, yes, he can turn things around. Absolutely. It's still super early on, but it becomes a matter of, did he overachieve in 2023? And we're now really seeing the Wilyer Abreu that he truly is as a player. The identity thing is a big thing. That's a big word and theme that I want you to take away from today is identity. What is this Boston Red Sox team's identity? What are they going to look like come June and July in the heat of the summer when we're halfway through the season and players might be starting to get injured or losing focus? What is this team exactly? Over the next couple months of the season, it's going to start to tell us what this team truly is and what they're capable of. And that goes for individual players as well. And with Abreu, what we might start to see is him continuing to struggle at the plate and the Red Sox coming to a realization that he might not fit into the puzzle as much as they want. Now, I do think they see O'Neill as a step up from him in terms of guys they can trust and can be more reliable when he's out there, because they did choose O'Neill over Abreu to start on opening day, which I'm glad they did, because O'Neill literally broke a record on opening day for hitting a home run in his 5th consecutive opening day. So that was fun to watch. And that was the primary reason why Cora put O'Neill in on opening day instead of Abreu, because of his numbers on opening day generally lately. So I do feel like O'Neill is higher up on the totem pole than Abreu right now, but what exactly has Abreu done to convince you that he can be an everyday player for this team? Right now, it really has not been anything. So I'm looking for him to start to step it up a little bit more when he is out there, get his on-base percentage up a little bit. He does have a 250 on-base percentage so far, but he definitely could use the opportunity to string together some more hits try to make more things happen when he's out there and change his plate approach a little bit, because if he can do that and he can start to have a little bit more discipline at the plate, then he could be a good piece to the puzzle later on. I just think he's focusing too much on the long ball and trying to play hero baseball when he doesn't need to do that. So if he can go into his at-bats feeling more like himself and knowing his identity, then he could start to improve. But based on his defense so far and his lack of ability to really do much of anything at the plate, I'm not super confident in his ability moving forward to be a piece of this team. And that's why it's good that the Red Sox have the outfield depth that they do, because they will realize this and they will have guys who won't pan out the way they want them to and won't be key pieces for them moving forward. And if that's not Wilyer or Abreu, I'm glad they're giving Rafaela the opportunities they're giving him, because he seriously has a lot of potential to be a very special talent for a long time. So I'm rooting for Abreu. Hopefully he's able to turn things around. But if I'm looking at biggest storylines so far from the season, he's definitely somebody who down the road later on is going to have to do a lot more if he wants to keep his roster spot right now. As always, though, keep the faith. Go Red Sox. Let's try to finish the rest of this road trip strong, and I will catch you on the flip side.